Tell us about when you were called.
You know, I was actually in St. George when I got a phone call from President Hinckley's secretary. And he said, could you come over and visit with President Hinckley? He has a question to ask you. And I said, well, I'm in southern Utah right now. If I leave right now, I can be there by 5 o'clock. Would that work all right? He says, oh no, we're not in a big hurry. Just come in first thing in the morning. At the time, I oversaw the seminaries and institutes in the church educational system. And so I had had occasion to talk with President Hinckley, and I went to board meetings where he conducted the meetings. And so I had assumed this was a question about the seminaries and institutes. And President Hinckley was very astute, and he knew a lot about everything.
Yeah.
And so I came home and put together some statistics and whatever that I thought he may ask me about. I went over in his office that next morning, and when I went in, it was just me and him. His secretary didn't come in, which he usually did to take notes of whatever we were discussing. And then President Hinckley just started asking me about myself and personal questions and how I treated my family and some worthiness questions, and it hit me, this isn't just some question he's asking about seminary or institutes. And then he called me to be a member of the First Quorum of the 70. And it was a little bit of a shock for me at the time. Jill wasn't there.
Yeah.
This was at the 1st of February, and he said, now you can tell your wife, but don't tell anybody else. We'll do this in April conference. So it was a fairly long period of time with that weighing on your soul. And
How did you tell Jill?
oh, I don't remember. I was in shock for a while, I think.
You called me.
Oh, did I call
on the
you?
phone.
Did you think I was
I
kidding?
remember that. No,
Oh, okay. I must have been pretty serious.
no, it was pretty amazing. You know, going clear back to the story of our first meeting, when his sister introduced Paul to me and my friends, I remember her saying, at least I think this is when she said, I know it was early in our acquaintance. She said to all of us, she said, if any of my brothers could be a general authority, it's Paul. And you know, it was such an impressive thing for a sister to say about a younger brother.
Yeah.
And I just remember it impressed me because I thought, well, he must be a really good kid. And he was. He never did disappoint me. He was that kind. I could see why his sister would make that kind of statement. But it all came back to me when he said that. I don't think I'd ever had a premonition, you know, like he will be a general authority, but it just came back to me. And I knew he was worthy to do that. And I know he was so humbled, and just, you know, how you feel when you receive some great calling like that, some important calling. And he was just almost in shock. But I just remember that thinking, you're that kind of person. It's not shocking to me at all.
So when your name was read and you stood up, what did that feel like?
You know, just a guy from Logan. It was really a different feeling.
Yeah.
And he had always had such respect for the general authorities. I remember that too when I first met him. General Conference was so important to him, and he could tell you the story of how his mother made that a really important thing in their family, but he has such respect. He always knew the brethren by sight and was just so impressed by them. And so for him to have that kind of respect and then to be called to the same calling, I think it was really humbling.